Jen, let's get started on how you got into the pole vault itself. You know, you're the American record holder, second place at the Olympic Games, but tell us how you really got to this day.
Yes, you know, when I was in high school, I played softball, I played soccer, I played basketball, volleyball, I think. Yeah, so, you know, and then I started doing track my senior year, and that was just running. I learned the hurdles, I learned the high jump, things like that. So then when I went to Roberts, I chose a private college, a Wesleyan college, to go and continue on and play 4 years of basketball. And I went there and, you know, I started doing track, but it was more long jump, you know, triple jump, those kind of things. So I remember, you know, I never really saw the pole vault though. That was one of those things that I guess I never really noticed in high school too much. And this is a funny story. So this one kid was at Roberts and he was jumping. And I remember watching him. He was like bending the pole, and it was bending and like shooting him up over the bar. And he was making this bar by a lot. He's running down as hard as he can, and I thought, what the heck? I was like, that is just amazing. You know, I was like, I can't believe someone can do that. So I asked him, I was like, are you going to the Olympics? And he laughed at me. He jumped 12.6. I mean, but to me, that was I couldn't believe it. I thought he was jumping like world record heights. And so, you know, when I first saw it, I was like, that is insane that someone is going to do that. You know, I couldn't imagine running and having that pole bend. Aren't they scared? Aren't they this? So anyway, long story short, you know, I played basketball, and my coach is pretty protective of me, my basketball coach, you know, only track during track season. So finally, my senior year, you know, I kind of started messing with the pole vault a little bit, and Rick Scher, who is my coach now, talked me into it. And, you know, I was pretty scared of it at first, I'll be honest. You know, it kind of scared me. So, you know, but he started me in such a slow progression that it wasn't scary. You know, it was just start here. I didn't bend the pole, and then I started to bend the pole. Next thing I knew, I became addicted to it, where I was like, give me the biggest pole you have, I'm going to try it. You know, so it was kind of, you know, it just started off as something small that I became good at, and then he said, you know what, I think you could be really good at this. And I thought, are you really serious? You know, so I put a lot of time into it. You know, I put a lot of effort, and my heart was in there. I was living in Fredonia at the time, so I'd have to commute up to Rochester to train. So my parents said, you know what, you've tried stuff your whole life. You know, this one you're going to have to pay for. You're an adult now. You know, if you want to do this, you're going to have to pay for it. So I had to pay for the gas and the tolls. So I worked at the convenience store my parents owned in the morning. I'd open up at 5 o'clock, and I'd be there till 2, and then I'd get in the car and I'd drive to practice. Wow. Then I'd go home, and then I'd do it again the next day. You know, and it was just that obsession that I had with it, where I was done with pole vault practice, and I'd drive back to Fredonia, and I'd take the pole and I'd do pole runs. And my dad made me stuff that looked like, you know, what Rick had in his building. So it became an obsession. So anyway, you know, come to find out, I go back to my master's at Roberts, so I have another year of eligibility in track left. So then I start pole vaulting, and now that's when I win the U.S. indoors. And, you know, I think it became like a turning, you know, point in my life where I thought, you know, I think I could make some money at this, you know.
The U.S. indoor meet was almost your calling card to
yes,
the rest
exactly.
of the world. Where did she come from?
Exactly.
So from that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's really when
05.
you knew, boy, I can really make this out of a career.
Yeah, that was in 05, and you know, it was funny because I remember so much about the whole situation, going into the meet, and you know, having people there. And I'm not a gymnast. I can't do a handstand. I can't do a cartwheel, and it's almost embarrassing, you know. But I can't. I'm sorry. But I remember there were girls. You know, the ref brings you over and he tells you the rules and stuff, and I'm listening because I have no idea what's going on. Everyone else was doing handstands, and this one girl was in a handstand the entire time. I was like, what is going on? I was like, am I in the circus? You know, like, I couldn't believe the athleticism that everyone had. So I remember being intimidated at first, like, I do not belong here. And so then when I went on the runway, I took like this, you know, like an attitude of, okay, I belong here. I can't think like that. I belong here. So, you know, it was in 05 that, you know, I thought I could be a pole vaulter. So anyway, I end up not going back to the master's program. I didn't go to Outdoor Worlds that year. And it was just because, you know, I was burned out. There was so much stuff going on. I was doing still, you know, 8 events in track. I was still long jumping. I was still javelin throwing. You know, I was still doing everything. So it became that I was burned out. You know, my body was sore. So anyway, we took some time off. So people thought, well, we'll never hear from her again. She was a one-hit wonder. And that's when, you know, I started working on things, and it kind of took off from there. So then in 06, you know, I went out, and then, you know, some contract things started happening, and, you know, they said, you got to jump 15. So we jumped 15. And they said, no, you have to jump higher, you know, so I jumped a little higher. And they said, nope, do it again, you know. So it was, I had to jump it 4 times.
Wow.
And finally, you know, then things started rolling where the contract started, and, you know, I ended up, as you know, signing with Adidas, and from there now I'm with Neutralite also. So, you know, it's been such a whirlwind. So much, you know, so much has happened since then, but so many right decisions. You know, when people call, you know, college students, you know, that are done with their careers and they're looking to continue pole vaulting or in anything, you know, that's the advice we try to give them. You know, just be patient. You know, you have to be patient and don't go for the first thing offered, because it's not, you know, you have to wait. And you know, there's a whole game out there, and I've been so fortunate, you know, with Rick. He's been, you know, just right on top of everything, and he's been able to, you know, control so much, so I have to worry about the least. And, you know, I'm with Global Athletics, and Mark Wetmore is my agent, and he knows so much about, you know, the circuit and the track. And then Rich Knag's under him, and he was an athlete himself, so he understands, you know, injury and competition and that fears that you have kind of thing. So the whole team around there with Adidas and Neutralite, it's made such a great experience that for me it hasn't been stressful. You know, it hasn't been, oh my gosh, you know, there were struggling times, you know, and where we were trying to make ends meet and things weren't going well, but you know, now with being patient and stuff, things are working out pretty well.
One final question.
Yes.
You mentioned you didn't come from a gymnastics background. Yes. I know you probably get that question a million times. You're the all-time scoring leader in college.
Yep.
You just attended a Celtics game not too long ago. Do you miss the competition in basketball, the team sport part of it? Because in pole vault, it's just you and your coach most of the time. Do you miss the camaraderie of, you know, having teammates, the game, you know, that whole thing?
Definitely. You know, I don't miss the actual playing of the game so much. I probably haven't shot a basketball in years, and it's kind of crazy, but you know, I really, once I was done, you know, it's not like I look back and, you know, kind of regret giving it up, because other things have happened from there, things, you know, but at the time, you know, I had my teammates, and they were my family. You know, when I was at Roberts, and, you know, you play with them, you're there all the time, and they become your family, and so, you know, I miss that camaraderie with them, and being able to share, you know, disappointments and celebrations and things like that. But right now the celebrations are so much more, though, because you're working with one other person. It's you and your coach out there, so when something good happens, it's like, you know, it's you did it, you know, so you can look at both of your work together, and that's what made it at the top. So